welcome to my channel. In today's video, I am super excited to share with all of you my first impressions of the Pillow Talk Dreams collection from Charlotte Tilbury. So she came out with a brand new Pillow Talk quad in this deeper color story. She also came out with a couple beautiful highlighters. I have mine in the shade Romance Glow, which is the lighter color story. And then I also picked up her Beauty Light Wand in the shade Pinkgasm, since this has been on my wish list for a while, and she had a bundle on her website with this product along with the highlighter. So if you're interested in seeing my first impressions of all these products, along with a bunch of comparison swatches and how I got today's look, then just stick around. So let's start off by going over packaging. So this is the box that the eyeshadow quad comes in. It says Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Dreams at the top. The quad itself comes in her standard eyeshadow packaging with instructions on the back. So we have Prime, Enhance, Smoke, and Super Pop instead of just Pop. And here we have the beautiful eyeshadows. So you can see they're definitely more saturated than the normal Pillow Talk quad. And here are the finger swatches going clockwise. And here we have the arm swatches. So the prime shade actually has a decent amount of pigment to it. It's a rose gold shade that is quite shiny in its own right. Definitely more reflectivity than your typical prime shade from Charlotte. The two mattes are also very pigmented. This is just one swipe in both of them. And then here is the beautiful Super Pop shade. So there's a lot of dimension and reflectivity to the shade. You might be able to see it better in the finger swatch here. I will say though, there is a bit of fallout from these shades. I do have some of it on my desk and dress now. Next we have the Pillow Talk Multi Glow. So this comes in similar pink packaging. You can see the shades for Romance Light on the top. The packaging for this highlighter is really pretty. This is honestly one of the main things that drew me in. It has this sort of opalescent top to it, which is just really gorgeous and quite unique in Charlotte's line. And you just open it like this, and inside you have the gorgeous compact. You can see it has that quilted pillow appearance to it, 4 distinct shades, and then a decent size mirror. And here it is with the brightness cut down just so you can see a little bit more clearly those distinct shades. And here we have the 4 shades swatched each individually. So you can see definitely on my skin tone all 4 of these can work as highlight. And here we have them swatched on the arm. So you have the really bright white one. Then this one has a slight golden bronziness. This one is more rose gold, a little bit orangey. And then this one's almost pinky mauve. And these are all quite sparkly, so I'm guessing this is not going to be a really natural highlight, probably more for days when you want some extra glow. Last but not least, here we have the box for the Beauty Light Wand. It almost has a slight holographic effect to it. And then the product itself comes in this tube packaging. And then it has a foam tip at the top. Basically, the top can be twisted on or off, and there's little instructions that show you which direction is on. So here it is on, and then you just squeeze the tube until product starts coming out. So let's try that. Okay, here we go. I think there's some product coming out now, so I'm gonna actually twist it closed. So here we have a swatch of the Pinkgasm. So me, this is definitely going to be deep enough as a blush. It's a lot deeper than any of these highlight shades over here, even though they're all in the same pinky color story. Very beautiful formula though. This looks really nice and shiny, but not too shiny. I don't think it looks too bright to be a blush. So here we have all of the swatches in case you guys want to pause and take a closer look at any of them. This is going to be a really gorgeous glowy look today. So before we put all of these products on my face, I wanted to start with a quick disclaimer. So please excuse the shoddy state of my base products today. So this morning was kind of a saga in terms of trying to get this makeup on. So first I was gonna do this as a full face of Charlotte Tilbury. And so I had my Airbrush Flawless foundation from Charlotte, and I mixed that with my LYS foundation because the shade match was a little bit off. And I put that on my face, and it was a pretty high coverage foundation. And I saw that the area in my T-zone was looking really crusty. It looked like it was peeling. And so at first I thought it was an issue with my skincare, not really reacting well with foundations. And so I washed my face off and then put on a simpler set of skincare. And then I put the foundation back on, and it was the same issue. If anything, it looked even worse. And so at that point, I thought maybe those two foundations just didn't mix well. And so I took all of that off again. And then I looked closer at my skin and realized that it's just that my skin itself is peeling. So I recently started using retinol, and I've been still using a lot of my other exfoliating products. So I think I just went too hard with exfoliation. And so my T-zone area is just peeling a lot, which is very, very unflattering. So instead of going in with a full coverage foundation, I just went in with my Chantecaille Just Skin Tinted Moisturizer to give my face a little bit of a break because I've already washed it like 3 times this morning. So long story short, if it looks like my face is peeling in certain parts, that's because it is. And if you're wondering why I haven't really covered up all of my blemishes, I'm just trying to give my face a little bit of a break because, yeah, this morning has been quite the doozy. But anyway, with that out of the way, let's get into these makeup products. So let's start first with this eyeshadow palette. So Charlotte suggests to go around in this order, but I personally like to keep my mattes a little bit separate from my shimmers. So I'm actually going to start with this enhanced shade on my Pinkgasm number 16 brush. And I'm going to start slowly with this shade because I find that Charlotte's mattes are very, very pigmented. So let's just start with a little bit and just slowly build up. So I will do comparison swatches at the end of this video, but already I can definitely tell that this is a way, way more pigmented version of Pillow Talk in comparison to her original luxury quad. This is a really pretty shade though. I feel like this will be quite flattering on a wide variety of skin tones. But I will also do some comparison swatches at the end with my Natasha Denona Glam Face Palette, which has been my go-to lately when I do want a bit more of a nude color story. So I do think as I'm putting this on, I probably should have set my concealer with some powder before going in with this, because since it is a bit more pigmented, you do have to be a little bit more careful to make sure it doesn't get patchy. But overall, considering how pigmented it is, this is a really well-performing shade. I'm going to go ahead now with my Pinkgasm number 19 brush into that deeper shade and just use this to build up some intensity in the outer third. Ooh, I like this shade. So in the normal Pillow Talk quad, the smoke shade is not deep at all, and it brings a lot of the warm oranginess to the look. I feel like this is a much more cooler tone brown, so it's actually cooling down a little bit that smoke shade, which is nice. So if you want more of that neutral look, this will tone things down a bit. Very, very nice. Okay, so that was quite easy to apply. And I feel like in the camera, it's coming across a little bit reddish, but in person, this is much more of a deep mahogany, almost plummy shade. Alright, so now let's go in with some shimmer. So I have here my GSN 9 brush, and I'm going to go into this prime shade and sweep this all over the lid. Wow, okay, that is much higher impact than her typical prime shades. Usually they're just like a really soft wash of shimmer, but I feel like this one, even though I'm applying it with a very fluffy brush, definitely packs some punch. This is much more like one of her metallic shades than one of her typical prime shades. Very, very pretty though. I feel like you could definitely get away with not using the Super Pop shade and just leaving your look at this, and it would be still very glamorous. But of course, for today's look, I am going into this Super Pop shade. And this is the shade that people have said is very similar to the formulations in Fire Rose, which I am very, very sad that I did not pick up. I was on the fence about Fire Rose for the longest time. It came out at a time when I was on vacation, and so I knew I wasn't going to be able to film a video very quickly with it, and so I decided to pass on it, not thinking that it would be discontinued. But man, I really regret not picking that up. Ooh, okay, that is a really pretty shade. All right, this is definitely one of the best shimmer formulas I've ever tried from Charlotte. If you guys have watched my videos for a while, you know that Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadows are sort of hit or miss for me. Most people really loved her Smoky Eyes Are Forever holiday quad, but for me that was just okay. It was not my favorite formulation, but this one is really, really nice. Wow. I am really digging that. So now just to clean off any edges, I'm going back into that deeper shade and just going in with that Pinkgasm number 19 and adding some more depth back into the outer portion of the eyes. This is a very easy look to put together, which is nice because even though Charlotte Tilbury is in theory known for her very easy looks, I feel like sometimes her formulations are not actually that easy to work with. But this quad so far has been very easy to work with. Very nice. That deep shade is maybe one of my favorite shades actually in this palette. I feel like it's blending out super, super easily. Wow. Now I'm going to take some of that lighter matte as well and just use it to blend out the crease area. Everything blends nicely. Wow, I'm really impressed with this quad so far. I feel like when I was first applying the matte, it was looking a tad bit patchy, but now that we've really zhuzhed everything out, it's looking very beautiful, very glamorous, very multi-dimensional. Wow, such a nice look. So now for the lower lash line, I'm going in with my soft definer from Sonia G into first that lighter matte, and I'm just going to sweep this all along the lower lash line and make this pretty smoky since the top part is quite smoky. Then dipping the tip into that deepest shade, I'm going in just on the outer portion, add some dimension there. Then going back with my GSN 9 into that prime shade, I'm going to sweep this on the inner thirds of both eyes, just to add a little bit of light. Alrighty, there we go. So this is the eyeshadow look. And normally I would put the prime shade also in my inner corner and brow bone, but because we have so much highlight to go through in today's look, I'm just going to leave the eyes like this for the moment and return to them at the end. So now I'm going to go off, put on some eyeliner, and then be back with the Chic products. So here we have the eyes done, and I am really digging this look. It is so, so pretty, and it was so easy to put together too. So far I am very excited about this quad. It's so much prettier than the typical Pillow Talk quad, so I can already say that if you are debating between Pillow Talk versus Pillow Talk Dreams, this is definitely a lot better. And for me, this is the highest quality formula that I've personally experienced from Charlotte so far, so very, very pleased. So now let's go on to the cheeks, and let's go in with this Beauty Light Wand. So this product has actually been around for a long time, but recently it went really viral on TikTok, and so it's been continuously sold out during most of the sales. And so I was really excited to pick this up in a bundle with this new highlighter. So let's see how this product looks on the cheeks. So I'm just going to take what is already on the wand from when I was squeezing it earlier and just dab that on. Ooh, very, very shimmery. So let's just blend that out with the finger. Okay, I think a light layer of that is maybe not enough, so let's go in a little bit more. Let me actually open this and just squeeze out a little bit more as well. One thing that I wasn't sure of with this product is it's sort of advertised as a highlighter, but also, of course, people use this as blush because it is quite pigmented for a highlight. Add a little bit more. I'm definitely adding more on than I thought I would need, but I guess it is a very shiny product. Quite easy to blend in. I would say I'm getting a tiny bit of patchiness, but it might be just because my base today is unset and also my skin is peeling a bit. But let's see if I can just tap that in. I'll use a brush on the other side to see if that's easier to use. Very glowy. If you want sort of a one and done blush look that does not require any highlight on top, then this is pretty nice. Obviously today we're going to go in with a lot of highlighter on top. So I probably would not normally pair this with the highlighting palette, but for today's look, let's just get really, really glowy. Alrighty, so here it is on this side of the face. Definitely less pigmented than what I was anticipating, but I think built up it still works for my complexion. So on this other side, I'm going in with my Zoeva 110 brush, and I'm going to first try dabbing it from the applicator like this to pick up some of that product. Ooh, it's so interesting. It has a slight cooling sensation on the cheeks. All right, it definitely applies nicer with a brush, I would say. This is looking much more evenly blended, and I feel like I'm getting a good amount of pigmentation too. Wow. Okay, I really like how it looks on this side. Not so much on this side, so maybe if you have a slightly tacky base that's unset, don't go in with a finger. Instead, go in with a brush. But wow, I am really liking how this looks. So, so pretty. It's not patchy at all when applied with a brush like this. And I feel like the brush is definitely adding on a bit more pigmentation. So let me just use this brush to even out this side as well. Let's bring it up a little bit, do a little bit of blush draping. Ooh, okay, I can see why there's so much hype around this product. If you just want a really, really easy, very pretty blush look that's shiny but not too glowy, this is so nice. I mean, look at that. It really gives a very beautiful, healthy flush on the cheek. Put a little bit across the bridge of my nose as well. I mean, this is definitely not the most natural looking blush ever, but if you're going for that Charlotte Tilbury effect, this will give it to you. Wow. Alrighty, so there we go. I am very impressed and very much loving this look so far. It looks so much like her ads where the models are just so glowy and there's this beautiful pinky flush to everything. So this is definitely as advertised so far. So now let's get into arguably the star of today's show, which is this gorgeous highlighter. So I'm glad I picked up this Refer number 20 fan brush recently because I think this palette is most useful if you do have a fan brush because you can basically brush into the shades individually or you can swirl it all together. So actually, let me first see what it looks like if you just swirl it all together using a finger. It does disturb the beautiful imprint, but this is what it looks like if you just swirl all the shades together. Let me give you guys a swatch here. So it overall is a very pinky, almost kind of rose gold shade. Really, really pretty. So now let me do that with a brush. I'm just gonna kind of, wow, okay, this is very, very flaky. Let me tap my brush off. Whoa, oh my gosh, that left a lot of shimmer in there. Okay, if you don't want shimmer everywhere, be a little bit careful tapping off your brush. So let me just put this on top of my cheeks now. Wow, this is definitely giving me shine. Ooh, okay. Definitely, I would not normally apply this on top of that Beauty Light wand because this is a little bit out of my comfort zone in terms of level of shine. Still very pretty, but definitely extremely glowy. Let's see, on this other side, let me try to do it in sections. So let's take first a little bit of this shade. Let's concentrate this mauvey shade on the back. So I think you can see that is pretty cool toned, almost a little bit purpley. So now let's take a little bit of that rose gold, put it next to it. All right, definitely got a little bit more depth there, but also, I mean, they're both very, very shiny. And then I'll take a little bit of this shade and put it closer. Whew. Okay, so there we go. Here's all three of them. Wow, this is a very, very metallic highlight. Very different from the other Charlotte highlighters I have. I feel like usually her highlighters are a little bit more skin-like, a little bit more natural. This is definitely if you want to look like you have highlight on your skin. All right, let's take a little bit down the bridge of the nose as well, see what effect that has. And then with my mini booster, I'm gonna go first into the lightest shade and just put this on the inner corners so you can see just how bright that shade is. This is a shade I think that looks a lot better on the inner corners than on the cheeks. I think it's a little bit too white for me on my cheeks, but it looks pretty nice on the inner corners. For the brow bone, I'm gonna go into this shade just because I don't want it to be quite as bright. So let's see how that looks. Okay, yeah, still pretty light, at least on my skin tone. It looks pretty white overall. So for experimentation, let's actually go in with the next deepest shade. All right, yeah, this one looks a little bit more natural on my skin tone. Still definitely a bit cool toned though. Interesting. I'm gonna just try to even that out a bit. So here we have the final look. What do you guys think? So before getting into my overall thoughts about this collection, let's do some comparison swatches. So let's start with the Pillow Talk Dreams next to the original Pillow Talk. And then in swatches, here we have the new Pillow Talk Dreams next to the original Pillow Talk. So the original Pillow Talk is much lighter, much more peachy, whereas Pillow Talk Dreams is much more coppery and bronzy. You can probably also see that the formulations are a bit different. Pillow Talk Dreams has much more shimmery shades here in comparison to the two shades in original Pillow Talk, which are much more muted. And then I also wanted to compare Pillow Talk Dreams with my Instant Look of Love in a palette, which I have in the shade Glowing Beauty. You can see that the color story is quite similar. So these three shades over here are the Glowing Beauty eyeshadows. And so they're much more similar in depth to the ones that we have in Pillow Talk Dreams. I would say these two are quite similar overall, but the formulation is the main difference. So these two shimmers are far more sparkly in comparison to the two shimmers in the Instant Look of Love in a palette. This one is much more of a glitter topper, doesn't have much base pigment to it. And then this one is more of a very satin shimmer, whereas these two are much more high impact shimmers. I would say in terms of the mattes though, the one in the Instant Look of Love in a palette sort of looks like a hybrid between the two in the Pillow Talk Dreams quad. And then the last Charlotte Tilbury product I want to compare it to is this Cheek to Chic in the shade Pillow Talk Intense. I sort of think of this eyeshadow as being like a Pillow Talk Intense eyeshadow. It's sort of a deeper, more shimmery version of the original Pillow Talk. So here is the outer ring and the inner ring of Pillow Talk Intense swatched. And you can see these two have a very similar color story to what we see in the Pillow Talk Dreams quad. So definitely not a dupe, but I think you can really pair this very well with this Cheek to Chic in case you want to do a full face with this sort of color story. So now let's do some comparisons outside of Charlotte Tilbury. So the first four shades over here are from the Pillow Talk Dreams quad. And because I frequently compare Pillow Talk with this new Natasha Denona Glam Face light palette. I want to show you guys side-by-side comparisons of these. So here is the Glam Face light palette, and it is a lot lighter than Pillow Talk Dreams, but I would say formulation wise it's a lot more similar. So you can see that these two shimmers over here have a similar effect to especially this Super Pop shade from the new Pillow Talk Dreams. Finally, I want to compare this with Voyeuristic Vixen from Pat McGrath, since both of these have really shimmery shades that are overall kind of neutral but with a little bit of mahogany. So over here is that Pat McGrath palette, and I would say that the overall color stories are somewhat similar, but the Pat McGrath one is a little bit more cool toned. So you can see this is much more of a bright white in comparison to the prime shade in Pillow Talk Dreams, which has much more bronzy rose gold to it. Also, this flaky shade from the Voyeuristic Vixen is totally different. It's much more of a topper shade, very, very textured in comparison to the Super Pop shade. Then this bronze shade and the matte are just a little bit more cool toned in comparison to the color story for Pillow Talk Dreams. So overall, I would say I don't really have exact dupes in my collection for the new Pillow Talk Dreams quad, but I do have a lot of quads or quintets that give a really similar effect. Personally, I'm not mad at that. I really love these sorts of everyday eyeshadow palettes that are really quick to create a pretty look around. And I think for me, there's still enough difference between these different palettes to justify having the Pillow Talk Dreams quad. But I did want to show you guys all of these comparisons in case you don't actually reach for this sort of pinky bronzy color story that often. You might want to have just one or two of these instead of like 5 or 6. So with the comparison swatches out of the way, let's get into my overall thoughts and impressions of this new collection. So first off, I have to say I am very impressed with this Pillow Talk Dreams quad. This was actually the part of the collection I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to pick up because I already have Pillow Talk, and as you guys saw from those comparison swatches, I do have a lot of eyeshadow palettes that are already in this sort of color story. And so for me, I mainly picked this up for review purposes since I figured you guys would be interested in it. But honestly, I am very impressed with this eyeshadow look today. It was just so easy to put together and it's just so pretty. I just keep looking at my eyes in the mirror and I'm just very, very impressed with how this eyeshadow look turned out. It was also just so easy to put together, and as I mentioned earlier, for me that's not always the case with Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadows. So if you are new to Charlotte Tilbury, I would highly recommend checking out this quad. Definitely the best formulation I've personally tried from her thus far. And even if you have a lot of Charlotte Tilbury in your collection, it might still be worth checking this out if you are a fan of this sort of eyeshadow look. I was also quite impressed with this Beauty Light Wand. If this had not gone viral on TikTok, I don't think I would be interested in it because it's been around for a while. But this sort of highlighting blush product, especially a liquid product, is not something that I'm typically interested in. If you guys have watched my channel for a while, you know that I usually do not like liquid or cream products. But I am really glad that I picked this up because I feel like the effect it leaves on the cheeks is just so beautiful, especially when applied with a brush. And I think this is perfect if you're someone who really wants to get that glowy, pretty Charlotte Tilbury effect. This is a really easy product to apply and just looks so dreamy on the skin. Finally, the highlighter was for me the main draw for this collection. It's just such a gorgeous packaging and the inside embossing looks so pretty as well. I will say though, this is the product that I'm still on the fence about. I'm not normally someone who likes really metallic, bright highlights. So even though this is overall a pretty highlight, it's just not exactly my style. I was actually debating between picking this up and the Chanel Camellia highlighter because that's also a very pricey highlight that has been making the rounds of YouTube and Instagram. I decided to pick this one up just because I figured more of you would be interested in Charlotte Tilbury. But now that I've tried this, I do think the Camellia one is probably a little bit more my speed. I normally prefer a little bit more of a subtle highlight. I would say, especially if you have warm undertones in your skin like myself, this Romance Light shade is going to be very, very beaming on your skin because it is overall a very cool toned highlight, and so it's just going to contrast a lot on your skin. If you have a very fair complexion with very strong pink undertones, this might look a little bit more natural, but it still is, no matter what, going to be a very high shine finish. I will say when I look at my skin, I don't see individual glitter particles, which is nice, but it is extremely, extremely metallic looking. Of course, today I have the Beauty Light wand down, so I'm gonna have to try this out with a matte blush and see if it looks better on top of that. In the future, I don't think I'll be putting these two together. That said, one thing I do really like about this is you do have these 4 shades, and so I feel like it's a little bit more versatile than your standard highlight. On me, all 4 of these look somewhat similar, but still gives you some room to play. I have watched some videos of folks reviewing the deeper color story, and that one seems a little bit more versatile in terms of some of the shades coming across more as blush, whereas others can be used as highlighter depending on your skin tone. On me, these are all definitely pretty bright highlights. So overall, the jury is still out on this guy. I will have to keep playing around with it and update you guys in my next monthly favorites. So that's it for today's video. I would love to hear in the comments down below what you guys think about this collection. Will you be picking any of it up? It does seem like some of these products might come out on Sephora during the VIB sale, so in case of that, I would recommend waiting to see if you can get a discount on these. But I would love to hear what you guys think about these products. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you all so much for joining me today, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!